WWF Monday Night Raw or Monday Night Raw. I am Tony Schiavone, here with Trini Kwan and with Corey Graves. And today on Monday Night Raw or Alone Tonight Raw, we have Jesus, the Son of God, Jesus the Healer, Jesus the Freer, here today on Monday Night Raw or Alone Tonight Raw. Tony Schiavone says, well, we got Jesus, the Son of God, the King of Kings, the Kaiser of Kaiser, the Lord of Lords, the Earl of Earls. Yes, Tony Schiavone says. Yes, we do, Trini Kwan says. And we wonder why Jesus is doing here. We know that with Jesus, you have a kinship with him your whole life. With Holy Fellow Nicholas, he only gives you a holy day. Trini Kwan said. Well, that's right, Corey Graves says. I mean, if you think of it, Jesus could show up all year round. You know, he doesn't have that handicap like Holy Fellow Nicholas does. But I do like to know. First off, greetings, all my sons and daughters. It is I, Jesus the Healer, the Freer, the King of Kings, the Kaiser of Kaisers, the Lord of Lords, the Earl of Earls, the Son of God. And I'm here to let everybody know that my life that was yielded up many years ago, and through my death and through my blood, you all have a stead in heaven. You had your sins taken away. You had your sins cleaned. Since God so loved the world, he was willing to bring a gift. That gift was me, his son, Jesus. I came to earth, I healed the sick, and I healed the wounded and the handicapped. I befriended folks who no one else wanted anything to do with. But during my life, I was hated more than I was loved. But I could tell you something, folks. One of the biggest things I ever had to do in my life was to yield up my own life. To go through to get beaten, to be made fun of and shamed and guilted. And it wasn't bad enough with the whipping and the beatings and the name calling and the scathing and the shaming and the sliding. Then I've been put on a round. And through that, my death, God and me, through my death, through my blood, all the sins of mankind and womankind were taken away, cleaned away, giving everyone a stead in heaven. For those who believe and for those who do not believe. And I just want to say, yeah, I know you like to say a lot of things, Jesus. And I know that you're the Son of God. And I know that only through you we can get to God. But I'm here to tell you that that doesn't mean much, because you're talking to someone who had to do all the hard work herself. I became a UFC women's heavyweight fighter. I became a two-time WWE SmackDown women's heavyweight fighter. The one-time WWE Raw women's heavyweight fighter. Hell, I even became a former TWF women's heavyweight fighter and a two-time World Women's Heavyweight fighter. You never did anything for me, Ronda Rousey says. Yeah, Sonya Deville. You're right, Shayna Blazer says. I mean, I became a two-time WWE NXT Women's Heavyweight fighter. A two-time WWE Women's Team fighter. But I don't think that had anything to do with you. That is where you're wrong, my daughters, Rhonda and Shayna. It was God who gave you the skills and craft that made you great wrestlers, made you great fighters. So yes, it was me and God, since he gave you the skills and craft that made you become, that you had to become the great fighters and great wrestlers you are. Only I must say that I'm kind of saddened in your behavior. You know, thinking that since you are fighters and wrestlers, thinking that that somehow makes you greater than everyone else. But it does not. But I too have also died for your sins. And I also had your sins cleaned away. And you also have a stead in heaven if you believe or do not believe. This isn't going to come off the way I want it to come off, Ronda Rousey goes. But I don't think a wrestling ring is anywhere for the Son of God, you know, to be in. I mean, earnestly, when you think of it, I don't think the Son of God should be anywhere around a wrestling ring. That's just me. Well, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I mean, that is your right. Well, I'm going to be going now. And that was sad, because I have every right to be in this wrestling ring as anyone else. I forgive you. Well, we got that out of the way. Very shameful behavior Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler did here today on a Monday Night Raw, Tony Schiavone said. Yeah, it was shameful behavior, Trini Kwan says. What do you mean? Jesus doesn't have any... Jesus has no stead to be in a wrestling ring. I mean, there's the wrestling ring or the fighting ring. There's no ground for him being in there. And what does Medusa want? Corey Graves says. So, Ronda Rousey, you think you're the shit. You think that all women wrestlers and all women fighters are not as good as you. You look down on everyone because of your fighting skills and your wrestling skills. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm not frightened of Team UFC or whatever you call yourselves. I'm going to take that World Women's Heavyweight winnings off of you. And then you'll learn to onlook someone. Well, that's what you think, Ronda Rousey said. And Shayna Baszler, Tony Schiavone said, just choked out Medusa here today like a weakling from behind, Tony Schiavone said. Yeah, Trini Kwan said. Shayna Baszler has always been a weakling. Trini Kwan said, always been a bully and a heel and a creep. Ronda Rousey didn't start out that way. She just became that way over time. Alright, I'm ready to put my winnings on stake. This is for the TWF. This is for the World Women's Heavyweight winnings. First, she is Medusa. And she is the World Women's Heavyweight fighter, Ronda Rousey. Ding ding ding. Well, Ronda Rousey now is going to... Oh, she just arm barred down Medusa. And now look. She's now... This is a one-sided match, Tony Schiavone said. It's no fair. Shayna Baszler already squeezed out Medusa before the match got started, Tony Schiavone said. Yeah, Trini Kwan said, so much for the onlooked wrestler, onlooked fighter. She likes to take the shortcut, the small way of doing things, Trini Kwan said. Corey Graves said, when you're a great fighter and a great wrestler like Ronda Rousey is, who cares? Ding ding ding. Here is your winner. Says Corey Graves, here is your winner. And still the TWF Women's Heavyweight, still the World Women, still the World Women's Heavy, still the Women's World Heavyweight fighter, Ronda Rousey. Well, Ronda Rousey and Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler being nothing more than a creep, being a bully and a heel and a creep here today on Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Raw, Tony Schiavone says. That's right, Trini Kwan said. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler have been a bully and a heel and a creep for some time. Trini Kwan said, hey, don't be scathing them like that, or shaming them, or guilting them, or slighting them. You know, when you're a great wrestler and a great fighter like they are, you can do whatever you want, Corey Graves says. Alright, Renee Young is going to talk with Medusa. Oh, well, looks like Renee Young now is now going to be talking with Medusa. Alright, Tony Schiavone, I'm going to be talking with Medusa here today on Monday Night Raw or Alone Night Raw. Alright, Medusa, I didn't think you would come. We didn't think that you'd be the one that would take Ronda Rousey up on her open dare. Ronda Rousey seems to think she's greater than everyone else because she has a skilled fighter background or a beginner wrestling background, but she's not. She seems to think she's more greater because somehow, some way, she has all this skill and craft. But you know what? I don't care. You could be a former UFC women's heavyweight fighter, WWE Raw women's heavyweight fighter, two-time WWE SmackDown women's heavyweight fighter, but it doesn't make you greater than anyone else, Ronda Rousey. And so you're a skilled fighter, and you're a skilled wrestler, and you got this beginner wrestling background, this skilled fighting background. Big deal. At the end of the day, you're not greater than me. And going around being a weakling and a bully and a heel and a creep, that's all you are. And, well, we all know about Shayna Baszler. She's always been that way. It's just sad that Ronda Rousey started having the same stand and the same mindset. Well, Medusa, some folks are wondering why you chose to stand up to Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Because someone had to. I mean, we don't know what happened to Faith. I mean, she had her match with Killer, and we can't seek her. So someone had to stand up to Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, and that'd be me. Alright, that was my talk with Medusa. Back to you, Tony Schiavone. Well, thank you, Renee Young, for talking with Medusa here today on Monday Night Raw or Alone Day Night Raw. Fuck. And that's all the time we got here for Monday Night Raw or Alone Day Night Raw. I am Tony Schiavone for Trini Kwan and Corey Graves. We hope you like Monday Night Raw or Alone Day Night Raw, and we'll see you tomorrow for NXT.